Today, you're going to learn mobile app development in Python. That's right, and by the end of this episode, we are going to have a currency converter application, all done with Python and a framework called Kivy, which allows for mobile app creation in Python. All right, if you're ready, I'm ready. And if you're ready, do me a favor, hit the like button and smash that subscribe button, as that helps me reach more students around the world. All right, let's dive in. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Wait, you guessed it, Code with Josh. If you're new here, for obvious reasons, I'm Josh, and I'm stoked to have you here. As I mentioned in the intro, we are going to be learning mobile app development with Python today. And if you're coming from my previous Python mini-series, we got the chance to make 3 desktop applications in Python. We did a translator, a weather API app, as well as a speech-to-text sentiment analysis application, all done with PyQt. I'm going to link those somewhere here. Now is the next step of the process. How can we take your idea from a desktop application to a mobile application? And if you followed along or you have an understanding of PyQt, we are going to take your knowledge of PyQt and bring that into Kivy. And you're going to see a lot of things that look quite similar. Now, I'm not going to break everything down about Kivy in this video. I want you guys to create an app and dissect that and use that for other applications. All right, like I said, we are making a currency converter application. Before we dive into our app, guys, you can get my handcrafted Python and Git starter pack absolutely free. It's the first link in the description. If you're beginning your Python journey, I've broken everything down and I've put it together into one starter pack that you guys can use to get started. It's the first link in the description. Head on down there and get your copy of my handcrafted Python guide. All right, let's change around some currency and let's head over into VS Code and bring your mobile app to life. Alright, so here in VS Code, you can actually see I have 2 things on my screen, and I've actually put PyQt here in the bottom. Now, if you followed along with my series, you know this well, alright? Now, to import widgets from PyQt, I can do this in a single line. But with Kivy, it's different. It's tedious and it's rather cumbersome. I'm aware of that, alright? But we do need to get these into our project. So, everything from Kivy, I need to import app to create a mobile app, and then all of these are individual imports from the similar Kivy module of UIX, okay, which is UI design, essentially, right? And then we are actually targeting classes within those. So, I'm using a box layout, label, button, my text input, all the good stuff. Now, we are building a currency converter app, so let's get the converter in here. I'm going to say from forex.python, I'm going to tap into something called converter, and I would like to import something called currency rate. And we will use this class later to convert currencies. All right, now this is going to be a multiple windowed mobile application for multi-touch and sliding interfaces. So each screen within this app is going to be its own class. Let's create a class called welcome, and this is the first thing the user sees. Now I'm going to inherit the screen class from Kivy because this is one of my screens. In fact, let me zoom in here. Now let's get the initializer going, so init, and inside init, I have too many things, so I'm going to say quargs. Now, if you're unfamiliar with quargs, which you might be, you might not be, okay, it means keyword arguments. So I could give a single argument, or I could give 20 arguments. I don't know how many I'm going to give. That's why I can use this special quargs keyword to say, I'm going to give some arguments, but I don't know how many. Okay, coming down here inside init, let's activate our superclass, which is screen, right? That's the Kivy one. And inside here, right, once again, I'm going to say quargs because I don't know how many I'm going to give it. Now we want to create all the objects we're going to see on our screen. So for example, I'm going to have a title, and the title is going to be a label, which is text, right? I'm going to have some intro text. This is, once again, a label, okay? What else might we have in our screen here? I'm going to have a button. And the next thing I need is a button. I'm going to call this button start. The reason I'm calling it self is actually because I need to pass this outside of my init class, okay? And remember that we use quargs, so I need to give text. In order to give text, I'm going to pop in here and say text. Okay, what do I want the title to be? I'm going to call it Pi Currency, right? I could give another one, right? Do I have to give another one? I don't have to. But I said quarks, which means I could just give it text or I could give it more. So how do you want to style this? And you're going to see me add in a lot of styles along this episode. Let me add in 2 more. Cool. I have font size and color. I'm going to bring in some 4 outside colors that I've already created for my color theme, and I'm going to put them here. Now, you can actually see these colors look a bit strange, and they are RGBA colors. And this is something that works with Kivy, right? It works with other things, but Kivy doesn't just use RGB colors or hex colors. It uses RGBA, so we need to use these. If you want to follow along with my scheme, they're right here. Next up, the intro text. What do I want the intro text to say? I'm going to have it say, "Are you ready to convert?" also being light brown. And then finally, I need my button. And my button text can actually say convert now. Guys, real quick, if you like this kind of content, remember to hit the like button and smash that subscribe button, as that helps me reach more students around the world. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this kind of content. All right, back to our video. Now that I have 3 objects, let's get them on our screen. So to get them on the screen, I need to create a layout. I'm going to call this my master layout, and we imported something called BoxLayout. If you remember from PyQt had a horizontal and a vertical layout. We don't have that in Kivy. You need to specify which one you want to use with the single BoxLayout class. So this master layout, I want it to be a column. It naturally comes as a row. So I'm going to say orientation equals vertical. I've now made this a column. Okay, and I can come down here and I can use the same method almost from PyQt. I want to add something to my layout. What do I want to add? Well, I want my title, so I'm just going to put title. Let me add the other 3. Boom, there we go. So I have my intro text and the button start. Then finally, I'm going to take myself and I'm going to add a widget to it. What widget do I want to add to myself? Well, my master layout, right? Myself refers to the screen. What do I want to put on the screen? I want to put my master layout. Wow, that's it. That's great. Okay, let's get this going. So I want to see the app. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to create a class that doesn't really represent a screen. It actually just represents my overall app. So I'll just call this like converter. And this is going to be an app. Okay. Now for Kivy to work, it needs to use a build method. So inside this class that inherits the Kivy app, I'm going to create a method called build. Okay, and inside here I need a place to control my screen. So SM is equal to our class screen manager. SM is the person that's in charge of managing all the screens. I can take my screen manager and I can add a widget to it. What screen do I want to add? Well, I want to add my welcome screen, right? And this is the first screen that we just made. So this is the first screen that I'm adding here. I'm going to give my screen a name in case I need to refer back to it. So I'll just call it welcome screen. Good. Then I can return my screen manager. Outside here, all we have to do is our if name and main. App equals converter app.run. That's it. Run your code. And you can see that I'm given an error. So going up, I just missed one of the stars for quarks. Run it again. There we go. This is our button. Now it's huge. It's ugly. It's not doing anything. That's the first screen. Let's add the second screen in the functionality, and then you and me are going to style this app. We know that the welcome class represents the first screen in the app, and this converter class is actually the app itself. So I'm going to come down here because I want to create another class to represent the second screen. This class, I'll call this converter screen. This can inherit screen as well, and I'm going to get this set up just like before. All right, there we go. So in it with our quarks, activating our superclass. Now, I want to see a few things on my screen. Firstly, I need a few rows. The first row is the amount of currency, the from currency, and the currency I want to exchange to. I'm going to have text and an input box in each of these rows. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to create my first one. I'll call this amount text. And this is going to be a label. What do I want this text to actually say? Well, I want this text to say, let's just say enter amount. Okay, and I'm going to drop in a few other here parameters. I'm going to align this to the left horizontally and apply that light brown color that we have. I'm going to create my other two text values, which is just my from text and my to text. So I can just copy and paste those, I suppose. And I could say here, this is my from text. To text. Awesome. I have my 3 text objects ready to go. Now I need a place where am I gonna collect the input of this? And this is called the text input, which is we imported this from Kivy. And in PyQt, this is called our Q line edit tool. So here let's create 3 objects called self.amount, and I'm using the keyword self because this property needs passed around. I need to access this value from the outside. And I don't want this to say anything, but I want to give the user a clue. So this is actually called hint text. And if you think on Google, it's like your placeholder text. You go on Google, it says search here or something, right? And then you click and it goes away. That's what this is. So the placeholder text, I want it to say the exact same thing. Or I could say like 100 or the amount of money. What else do I want here? Well, let me apply some styling. There we go, a background color and a color of the hint text. All right, now I need 2 more objects, one for the to and from currency. I'm gonna call this from cur, and the other is gonna be to cur. Awesome, we have our 3 inputs, the 3 labels. The last thing we really need is the button convert. I need a convert button. This can say convert now. Brilliant. Apply the stylings, more specifically a size and a position as well as a color. Great. This is looking good. So I have all the places I can collect the inputs. Now I just need 2 places where I can display the output of my conversion. So those can be 2 more labels or text labels. Coming down here, I'm just going to drop in these and I'll explain these for you. Okay, so I have the final amount, and this is just going to be text on my screen that says converted amount. And then this self results. Currently the text is empty, but whatever my converter gives back to me, that's what's going to appear here at a later time. All right, what do we have to do next in our process of app creation? You have your objects, remember. We need a layout, our box layout. Let's go down and create some rows. So I'm gonna come down here and I need a lot of rows. So remember that box layout naturally comes as a row. I just need to apply the size of it in the height of the box itself if I want to. And I'm gonna copy this, I'm gonna paste this, I don't know, about 4 more times. I guess 3 more is fine. And changing our row value. All right, looking good. We have our rows. Let's go through and let me take row 1, add widget. I'll do 1 here, right? In the first row, I want the amount text. And then right next to the amount text, I want the input box for amount text. And so I call that self.amount. Right, so in row 1 I have the text as well as the input field. And we need these for each row. So let me get those going for us. Row 2, I have the from currency, row 3 is the to currency, and row 4 is the final amount and self results. And you know what I'm actually going to do here? I'm going to copy this because that's going to be too big, our text. I'm going to make just row 5 real quick, bit unnecessary, and put the results in its own row. All right, that is awesome. I still need a master layout, right? What is ultimately going to hold all those rows? If I have 5 rows, I need to like group them into one. I can group them into a column, right? So my box layout, I can say orientation equals vertical. Right, just get that going there. And I'm also going to give this some padding and spacing and stuff like that just to make it look more neat. So I could say padding is going to be 25 and the spacing of 20. Go through and let's just say add widget. Remember, I need to add every single row. So copy and paste. Great, and our final one is take the self. We can add the widget. What do we want to add to the screen? Well, I want to add my master. Right? That's looking great. All right, so we need to connect the first screen to the second screen in order to see the second screen. I need to go back up to our first class, welcome. Welcome is just in it, but I actually need a control method here. So I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna create one. I'm just gonna call this next. So this is like, it's gonna refer to the next screen. Inside here, I'm just gonna say, and I'm gonna tap into something called manager, and the current screen I want it to go to now is going to be equal to a name. And the name is going to be convert. screen. Now you might be asking, okay, Josh, what is this? This nickname that refers to this other screen. Well, if you remember down in our app class, right here, I gave a nickname to my welcome screen. This is going to be the nickname to my convert screen, so I can refer to any other nickname and it takes me to that page. It's kind of like in HTML, right? We have IDs or tags which refer to other things. It's the same. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say SM, add widget. I would like to add my new class, convert screen. Inside there, let's give it our name to refer to it, convert screen. Just like so. Going up to the initial start here, I need to activate this button with an event. So to get our event here, I'm going to say self.buttonStart. I would like to bind this. I want to connect this to a type of event. All right, what event do we want? Well, when I click, or when you release is a bit more accurate, I can put that. So I'm going to say on release. This is equal to the function next. So it's going to call my function. Let's run our code. As you can see, I'm getting an error. It's because my naming. What did I name there? Go down. I don't have from currency. I have from cur. Okay, let's try that again. Looks like I have an error. Let's go down to our second class layout orientation. Yeah, check your spelling here. Run the code. All right, there we go. When I click convert now, you can see that I'm throwing another error. Let's go check here. And to resolve that, I just threw in the arguments keyword right here. Okay, so now I'm here on the second part of my screen. This is really what I want to see. This is going to be my input field, my from currency, and my to currency. I want to change these placeholder texts though. Let's dive into that. So closing my app, shutting it down. I want to go up here. Where did I see that? Right here, 100. This can say, I'll say like USD as a hint, or let's say like JPY for yen as a hint as well, okay? Now I'm looking really good. So I'm gonna zoom out, look at all that code we have going on here. In our converter class, I really wanna get the conversion part of this going now, okay? So I'm gonna create a method. I'm gonna call this convert now. This is where we're going to use Forex to convert all of those and produce a result for us. Initially, I'm going to take my results. So we created an object up here called results, right? And I want to get the text value of those. But initially, it's an empty string, right? And we can see that right there. It's an empty string. Now, I want to try to do some things. So if you don't enter a number, you're going to get an error. You need to think about how are you going to treat those errors? So I want to try to do something. I'm going to create an amount. And this amount is not going to be an integer, it's going to be a float number. So how much money? And the amount of money is going to be the amount box, and I want to get the text value from it, right? Way up here, this input box, I want to get the text value of whatever I type. Okay, so self.amount text. If that doesn't work, I'm probably going to get some type of a value error because I didn't enter a number. And I'm just going to say self.results. The text, I'm just going to set that to error, enter a number. And I can return that. So I have an amount now. And I also want to collect the from currency. And the from currency is going to be self.fromCur. I want to get the text value, as well as the to cur. So what currency do I want to go to? Awesome. Now that I have all the information I need, I have the money amount, from currency, to currency, I'm going to create a currency object. And this is going to be from our class that we imported from Forex, currency rates. Now I want to try to create a rate for us, and this is going to be equal to a method called getRate. GetRate takes our base currency, which, if you guessed, is going to be our from currency. Where are we going to? My to currency. Now for this, I can now create the converted amount. And the converted amount is my initial amount multiplied by the current rate. Now this represents the actual conversion, so I need to give a nice output for that. And here you can see it's all equaled out. So I'm going to print off the amount, USD or whatever, is equal to this amount rounded down. Oh, and I even spelled that wrong. Okay, boom, there we go. Okay, let me just run real quick. Exception as E, and we'll say the text here. Okay, anything else? I'm gonna take my results. Text is equal to text. Awesome. We're pretty much done with that. This is the conversion function. I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna sneak. I need a function to call this function, essentially. So let's create that next method again. This next method is really just calling this convert method here, okay? If we go up, we can now bind those. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to say self.buttonConvert. We would like to bind you, okay? On the release, you will call the next method. Done. Look at that. That's great. Okay, let's run our code and put this to the test. All right, convert now. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to enter 100. Let's say USD. Let's say JPY. Oh, well, there's no button here, so that's an issue. That's an issue. Close, close. This convert button, I never actually added it, so that's an issue. I don't really need a row for this. I'm just gonna come down here and say add widget. Okay, run the code. There we go. Button is awful, terribly ugly, but we'll fix it later. USD, let's get that uppercase. I'll fix that in a second. Y, convert. All right, just make sure you have the args keyword in there. Right? When we run our code, convert now, enter a number, 150, let's just enter USD, and let's enter JPY as the example. Convert now. Look at that. 150 USD is equal to this amount of Japanese yen. That's awesome. Your basic conversion is already done, but the styling is really bad, so we want to tweak some things here, okay? A few other things. So here, if I enter lowercase, I want to address that as well, and I want to just give my app overall styling abilities. Let me close this out. I'm going to do a few things. Down here, our from currency, let's just make sure that no matter how the user enters it, it's always uppercase. The next thing I want to do is that button was huge. So I'm actually just going to change these two values here to make that none, okay? Now it's really time to style the app. So I'm going to kind of jump through this. This is a long video, okay? So bear with me, pause the video as you need to, okay? I'm going to go to the top of our code. And up here, I'm going to just kind of insert a few things here. So styling in Kivy is awful. Actually, it's really difficult. They should have made it easier. And I can use a Kivy file, which I'm not doing in this video, to be fair, okay? In another video, I could introduce that to you guys. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that stuff. It's like a CSS style sheet I can bring in, right? If you're working with a much bigger app, I could do that. This is a smaller app. I don't need to do that, okay? So up here, from config, I'm going to import the class config. Now that I have config, I want to set the width and height of my app. So I'm going to say config set. It's our width of 400, a height of 600. Right? If we run our app, we now have an initial setting for this application. And you can see that this looks more like an iPhone screen, or the size. Okay, this button is still awful. Let's fix it. To apply stylings, I'm going to drop in one more Kivy thing. So Kivy graphics, we want to color in a rectangle. To get a background color here, I'm basically going to create a rectangle behind the screen, and that's going to track the screen. So if you have used Pygame, actually, we use rect or rectangles in Pygame, self.rect. It's the same here. Going up to our welcome screen, all right, I'm going to drop a few things up here after the header. Okay, I'm going to say self.add_widget, right? And I'm actually going to import one more thing here. In order to tweak my layout, I'm going to use something called float layout, and I'm going to add a floating layout, which is basically going to track our screen and keep the background color essentially on it. And then I need to paint. So with my canvas, okay, in my canvas, before I start painting, I'm going to give it certain properties. It's going to have a background color of forest green. So I'm going to say color of forest green. Now, I need this rectangle to basically track the current position of the app. So I'm going to make a really quick method here and just drop it for you guys. I'm going to call it update rect, and it's going to take our instance. It takes our position, it takes the size, and the instance is being tracked. all right, I can take that same rect object and I'm going to create a rectangle with the current size and current position of the screen. That's why it's self-size and self-pause, right? And then I'm going to link that to the rect method we made. This is going to help me apply my styling a bit better. I understand that this part's a bit overwhelming, okay? So remember that the source code for this is in the description. Head on down there and check that. Get my code and see how you can compare our codes. I can just copy all this and drag and drop this into my other class. So going down, let's copy that. Let's drop in here. Boom, done. Let's run our code. Oops, got an error. Okay. Oh, I don't have this update rect method in the other class. So I'm gonna come down here and drop that. Look at that, that looks way better. Okay, this button, this button needs taken care of. Let's take care of that button. Going up to welcome. There's the button. Taken care of, trashed it, run it again. That looks so much better. Okay, the padding, I mean, it's not great, right? Click convert now. Look at that. Even the scroll, right? You saw the scroll. Now imagine you're on a phone or something like that. Okay? If I jump in here and I say 150, we know this works. I'm going to say the British pound. I would like to convert that. What's another currency? Australian dollar. Boom, there we go. And we have our conversion. That looks pretty great. Let's get a title in here real quick and wrap up our app. Down on my converter screen, I'm just going to drop in a text here. Okay, so text. I'm going to call it converter app. Let me just go to the top of my master layout. Let's add that here, master. I'm going to add some final stylings of bold to all the text. So bold, bold, bold. And I'm happy with that. I'm going to run it. This looks great. Let's convert now. 250. Oh, that's a lot of money. Okay, USD. Let's say Canadian dollars. There we go. All right, guys, congratulations. You have a working mobile application all done in Python and Kivy. Look at that. Converter app. You can change your currencies and display the output here. Well done. Oh, that's it, guys. That was amazing. This has been one of my longer videos, and I understand that the styling part of Kivy, that's not the easiest to wrap your head around, okay? As we progress with our mobile app series here on Code with Josh, I'm hoping to teach you how you can add a Kivy styling template to make that whole process easier, right? But if you're coming from PyQt, which you know me, I love PyQt, okay? I'm gonna link one of the videos here, okay? Styling is so much easier, right? But I hope you could see how understanding PyQt, it makes Kivy so much easier, because the process of designing your objects and designing your apps is the exact same thing. Guys, I don't have a Kivy course yet, but I have a PyQt course, and that has been wildly popular. If you're interested in that, that's the link in the description. Head on down there and check out my PyQt course where I teach you how you can develop your own desktop applications. And the whole knowledge with that applies to Kivy as well. And remember, you can get my handcrafted Python and Git starter pack absolutely free. That's the first link in the description. If you guys enjoyed today, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe, because that really does help me as a small channel reach more students around the world. Okay, so like, subscribe, okay, you now have your first mobile app. All right, and I cannot wait to see you in the next few episodes of Code with Josh as I take you on a mini series of mobile app development. This is a whole process of turning your MVP ideas to life. Desktop, mobile, web development, all three in Python. All right, until next time, guys, on Code with Josh, I will see you then.